Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, April 26th. It is 6:20 right now. Market's gonna open in about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. It's got a few things here to update and we should be good to go. Looks good. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. All right. As people join in, I'm going to go ahead and start market liquidity over here on the daily chart. Going down to the 8-hour chart, down to the 4-hour chart, down to the 2-hour chart, down to the 1-hour chart, down to the 30-minute chart, down to the 50-minute chart. Obviously, you guys can see that huge news candle right there. And I think that's about it. All right, so down to the 10-minute real quick. Yeah, that news candle right there kind of spiked all the liquidity that was sitting. So there's not really too much, around current price. So we got liquidity marked up right there, guys. Looks like people are still making their way in. So good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, April 26th. It is 6:23 right now. Market's gonna open up in about 7 minutes. I've marked up liquidity over here. Closest level of liquidity above is going to be at, let me just scroll this up. It's going to be at 38,484, and the closest level below is going to be at 38,243. This lower level here is probably going to get hit if price continues to drop lower. That's going to be probably most ideal compared to the top level over here, which is so far away. Currently away about almost 200 points. So odds of this hitting the lower level liquidity is probably a lot more likely. Leave it as is. And we'll see what happens here when the market opens up shortly. See what's here so far. Morning, Daniel. Morning, Andreas. Morning, everybody. Looks like people are still trickling their way in. Let's go over here to the clean chart. So with a clean chart over here, I'm going to go ahead and mark up 6:30. I'm going to mark up 8 o'clock. I'm going to go on the 4-hour time frame real quick, identify structure here. So we got structure up here. We got structure right here. Structure right there. And structure right there. Let's go over to the 1 hour. structure right there. And that's about it. All right, so going down to the 1 minute. So we got 4 hour structure up here, which is super far up. I don't think this is going to get touched, but we'll just mark it up anyways. 4 hour resistance level. And then down here, we've got the 1 hour support. Also don't think this is going to get touched, but we'll see. All right, so there we go right there. 1 hour support, 4 hour resistance. Looks like we're good to go. Yeah, so again, you guys can see this huge candle here, kind of messed up price movement. But we'll identify it once price starts to kind of smoothen out as we get closer to market open. So here is our main chart. This morning we had core PCE price index year over year, core PCE price index month over month, and then regular PCE price index year over year, and PCE price index month over month. Basically a bunch of inflation news. So we had a ton of inflation news over here at 5:30, pretty much spiked price up, as you guys can see right here on the 5:30 candle. I'll just mark it up so we know where it's at. But it's pretty obvious. You can see where the news candle is. It's like the one big candle out of all of the other candles. It's all PCE price index, core PCE price index, inflation news. So that's pretty much all that there was released, and also personal income spending. So you can see over here, shows that a lot of people are spending more money. Personal spending last month was 0.8%, and they're forecasting it to be lower, but people are still spending a bunch for this month as well in March, which it's going to go hand in hand with inflation because people are spending more because the price of everything else is going up. Over here at 7 o'clock, we have more news. This is the last news event for this week. It's going to be Michigan consumer sentiment. It's just going to identify, where people are sitting. Currently, they're forecasting it to be negative, but with the news from today, it's probably going to be positive. So it's just going to be a continuation of like what was released this morning. So inflation news over here was positive. They're forecasting it to be negative. I'm assuming that consumer sentiment will probably be positive as well, but I don't know. We'll see. That happens at 7 o'clock. I'll mark this up over here, and we'll just see how price reacts to it when it gets to that point. The ATR is currently at 13 right now, so it's not super low, but it's also not super high. It's just a little higher than it typically is pre-market. Pre-market's usually around like 8 to 9 ATR, and that's because we had this big spike of movement here at 5:30 based off the high impact news. So we're getting some movement here pre-market. ATR is now at 15. We're having a huge candle right here that's starting to build up. It's about a 50-point candle. And we'll see what happens when the market opens. All right, guys. Morning, everybody. Today's Friday, April 26th. Happy Friday, everyone. It's 6:28 right now. Market's going to open in about a minute. Let's see who's here so far. Morning, Jacob. Morning, Maria. Morning, John. Morning, Akil. Morning, Nick. Let's see. John said, Robert Kiyosaki, rich dad, guy on the radio, I guess moved the market from what he's heard. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, he's always like, if you've been listening to him for a while, I mean, he's been on the radio for a while. I used to listen to him when I was like working a regular job and like having to drive to work and in commute. Yeah, I don't think he really moved the market. I think it was the news, but because he doesn't really have a big impact. Like Robert Kiyosaki, he's not irrelevant, but he's not a market maker. Like if you guys have been following Robert Kiyosaki for like years, he always says the same thing. The only thing he says is to buy gold. That's literally all he says. He says buy real estate and buy gold. That's all he has. That's all he has to say. So, I mean, so Robert Kiyosaki is the whole reason I got into like business and stuff like that. So I give him props in a lot of different spaces. but not really with investing. I think he's good at getting people out of job, like getting out of the 9 to 5 mindset and stuff. But yeah, typically what he promotes is like buying gold. I think he only promotes buying gold because he has a lot of gold. He has a lot of metals. So, he has a big following, and I think he tells people to buy gold and silver because he's holding gold and silver. So he wants the value to go up, of course. And he holds a lot of real estate, so same with him as well. All right, guys, market is now open. So here is the opening candle. I'll mark up opening price right here. Yeah, but if you guys are like just getting into business or just getting into like entrepreneurial mindset, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad, that's like the best book. That's the book that started me with everything. If I didn't listen to that book or read that book, I probably would have never wanted to become a full-time trader or like start businesses. Because I mean, as of now, I have like, I think since I listened to that book, I've opened like maybe 4 or 5 businesses already, and life's been good. You just gotta listen to him and what he preaches there. Also, once you guys start to make money, in your business and trading and stuff like that, I've sent you guys a book before. It's by one of his advisors. It's called Tax-Free Wealth. So there's kind of like, there's steps to it. Like he has 4 books out. I went from like Rich Dad Poor Dad to like Tax-Free Wealth. Like once I started making money, I started to understand tax a little more. And then he has a couple other books. The other books aren't that good. I think those are the only 2 books that are actually good. The other ones are just reiterations of Rich Dad Poor Dad. He tries to sound a little smarter, but it's the same concept. All right, guys. So market is now open. Price over here, tap liquidity pre-market, didn't actually push through it. So you can look for that second retest. We're currently in a bearish trend right now, so we're going to possibly look for a sell here. There's nothing here to really look at the moment. Looking over here at the PRB. So the PRB, we're currently looking for a sell here. We don't have a space consolidation candle, but we do have a rejection right here on these first 2 candles and this 3rd candle right here. So the PRB here is going to be for a sell. You're going to be looking for that space consolidation candle. Once you have that, you can look for the retracement and continuation of the downside for the PRB, but it's just not ready yet. Looking over here at the BV3, there's no double body, double wick, so there's no entry here for the BV3 just yet. And that's about it, guys. So, I mean, price is right at opening price. There's not really much here to look at or to take here. You got to wait for price to push away from these red flags. See, I just saw your message. He's trying to MK Ultra S to buy metals. Yeah. So the thing with buying metals and buying gold, it's good when the economy's bad. Right now, the economy's, it's not horrible, but yeah, it's kind of crappy. So I mean, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like, during COVID, a lot of people thought the economy was going to crash and the stock market just went crazy. So it's not as easy as it was back then. Like back then, you could, well, not back then, but like in like the 90s, you could just buy any stock and it'll go up. And same with like when you went into the market crash, you could buy gold and the value of gold would just go up too. But right now, it's kind of like mixed. So hopefully Steven's doing good. I haven't heard from Steven in a while. I know Steven was waiting for his payout and he said he was going to come back, and this guy never came back. So hopefully he didn't like overdo it with gold. You guys know how Steven is with gold. That guy will come back and be like, "Oh, I made like $1,000." And then he'll come back the next day and be like, "Oh, I lost $1,000." So probably check on him maybe in a couple weeks. If he I'm pretty sure he got his payout though, which I think Nick is like out of this world that he got a payout. Yeah, good for him. Yeah, Drew said he's the Indian Austin Powers gold member. Yeah, now that guy's all over the place. We'll see. It's Goldfinger. All right, so there's nothing here right now. There is I mean, price starting to shift to the upside, which is completely fine. Looking over here at retail sentiment, let's get a bigger picture of the market right now. So retail sentiment right now is currently 55% short. This indicates that 55% of retail traders are currently selling right now. You typically want to do the opposite you typically want to do the opposite of retail traders, but it's not really one-sided right now. It's kind of neutral. So if it's like 65% or more, then you'll typically look to do the other side. But right now it's pretty much flat. So retail sentiment's not going to be super useful for today. Looking over here at the news, like I said earlier, we had high impact news at 5:30. It was all good news. So it looks like the market is correcting back to where it's supposed to go. So price pushed up here, then it dumped, and then now it's correcting back up because the news from this morning was positive. Also, looking over here at CNBC. So currently right now, the Dow is currently up 50 points, which is not very much. It's more on the neutral side. We have an update right here. It says S&P and NASDAQ jump, boosted by Alphabet and Microsoft. This was reported about a minute ago, so you probably expect price to come back down after this news release has been kind of followed upon, because people are going to chase this news here. Price is pushing up. You'd expect price to probably reject off, one of these price points here, and then maybe come right back down. So there's not really much of a bias today, as you guys can see. There's not really much of a fundamental bias here. There's not really much of a retail sentiment bias. So let's take a look at the technicals. Looking over here on the technical side, the 1 minute is neutral, 5 minute is bearish neutral, 10 minute is bearish, 30 minutes bearish, 1 hour is bearish, 4 hours bearish. So, I mean, everything's pretty much bearish right now. It's kind of mixed. And here's that drop that I just pretty much reminded you guys of. So just be careful when CNBC reports stuff, because market will typically do the opposite. It's not a big drop, but it did drop a little bit right there. Rejected off the news price from this morning. So we'll see what happens when market reacts to this here. Price is currently retesting the news price from earlier this morning at 5:30. It's currently at it right now. We'll see if price breaks above and continues climbing, or if price comes below and corrects back down. I mean, either thing can happen here. The trend here isn't really confirmed, so there's not much to look at. Yeah, there's just not much to look at here. Price is still going sideways. There's no PRB entry here, as you guys can see. The space candle came up, but the candles never came back down. So it's still in a bearish trend. So if price comes back below and retests the pivots, that could still be the PRB, unless the pivot starts to shift. So just keep an eye out here for how these pivots are moving. Because if price comes back down and bounces off the pivots, this is going to be the PRB entry. However, if the pivots here start to cross, then it's going to reset, right? It hasn't reset yet because the pivots are still bearish, but we'll see what happens here in a few moments, because it looks like price is coming back down. So if that's the case, this could still set up for an actual PRB for a sell. We had the rejection right here. We have the space candle right here, consolidation, and then price can still come back down. Hey, Sadie, morning. All right, yeah, next to the 5 minute, 10 minute are still bearish as well. Yeah. So there's kind of there's not really much of a bias here. So that's the main thing to look at. There's no bias here. So you kind of have to just wait for the trend to establish. The trend in here is still bearish, but it's not, it looks like it could be shifting to bullish. So if this green pivot over here crosses above and it starts to follow the other pivots, then if that's the case, this will probably continue to climb up a bit higher. So looking over here at the breakout B3, there's no entries available here yet. There was a double body that was kind of setting up here, but it didn't actually confirm. This price is now pushing back up. So there's no BB3 here. Again, with the PRB, yeah, the PRB is no longer going to be setting up now. It's going to reset. As you guys can see, this green pivot over here is crossed above. So PRB is currently, there's nothing setting up for the PRB. You got to wait for another trend to confirm. And there's nothing here as well for the regular scalping entries. Price is climbing up. So I'm hoping price kind of pushes up a bit, gets away from all these red flags, and then possibly up here, get into some entries, right? Well, we'll see. Just got to be patient. So there's not really too much established here yet. mean, I guess I could draw the structure down here. So this is a pre-market move. This is the 1 minute support level. There's no resistance yet. Once the resistance is established, then we'll mark up the resistance. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to identify the range. As you guys know, the market ranged on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's going to range today as well. So you just got to identify the range. Once you can identify the range, you can understand, okay, this is where price is likely to keep pushing or whether it's going to pull back. So if this higher high right here gets established, then this will probably be the range, right? We got the lower level down here. We'll probably have the higher level down up here. And then price will probably just range around this area in between. So we just got to wait for that to establish. It's going to take a couple candles or until a new low gets established. So once a new low here becomes established, or even if it's pending, then this higher high here will be established as the resistance, and that'll probably be the range. So this will probably be the range between these two levels right here, which is not what I want, right? We don't want to trade within these red flags. There's not enough space in between this area right here and this area right here for us to take any trades. So this isn't a good area to be sitting in. It's only 40 points. It's so small. So we would need price to really push out of this area. I'm hoping price just keeps climbing, gets out of this area, and then creates an even bigger range. Because I was hoping the range would be up here, like way up here, so that we could still take buys, you know, within this area. Or if price wants to come down, that's completely fine too. If it wants to correct back to the downside, we got all the space down here, right? So I'm looking for price to kind of get out of this middle area. This middle area is not where I want to be, because there's so many areas and possibilities of manipulation right here. All these horizontal lines, this green line's a New York high, this purple line's Asia high, this pink line's news price from 5:30. It was a PCE price index inflation news. This purple line here is the Asia low, and this blue line right here is the New York open price. So not really a good area to be stuck in. The ATR is currently 23, so there's some movement there. There's just not too much direction. As you guys can see, price is kind of ranging around this area. Yeah, Kill said hopefully the news gives it a boost. There's high impact news again right here at 7 o'clock. So we might just have to sit tight until then. You know, we might get some pre-market or some pre-news movement, but I don't know, we'll have to wait. So like I said, you know, you don't need to predict anything. Like we don't need to predict anything. We'll just see how the market reacts. We'll see what the market gives us. And when the market gives us direction and where price is likely to go, then we'll follow it. But for right now, let's leave it as is. So we got another level right here. I'll draw a level in between. It's not really the resistance point, but it looks like it might be the midpoint right here. I'm just going to mark this up as the previous resistance point. So this is the 1 minute resistance from market open. And if you guys are wondering where I'm marking this up, I'm marking them up from the lower lows and the higher highs, because that's typically where structure is going to be established. So like I said earlier, this might get established. It's not established yet. If it pushes up any higher, it's going to probably invalidate it. But if it doesn't and it establishes a low around this area, then this could be the 1 minute resistance as well. So it'll probably just be ranging within this area, which makes more sense, right? We have the consolidation within this area, but the real range is going to be this whole box right here. So what you could look for here is, so let's wait for this to establish. Once this here establishes, what you want to look for is the fake outs, of course, right? Like we mentioned before. You want to look for the fake outs and you want to look for the continuations. So if this here becomes the resistance level, you'll look for the fake out up here and the pullback into the range, right? That's what we've been looking at pretty much all week. You know, Monday, Tuesday gave us basically the blueprint of like how the market's likely to move for the week. And that's exactly where it's been. Okay, so price pushed up higher, which is a good thing. That higher high there has been pretty much invalidated. And that's why I was waiting for it to push up higher. And this is good. We want this. So I want price to push up higher because I want to get out of these red flags over here. This whole area is an area of manipulation. So you can see this mid-level right here is just the midpoint. It's going to establish a resistance at some point up here, some sort of resistance, and then it'll come back down, and then it'll come back down, and we'll see where it goes from there. But this is good. This is what I wanted. So I want to stay out of this area, like this area completely. I mean, if anything, if price pulls back into this lower point, you can still kind of maybe trade within this lower area right here. It's a 40-point range between the Asia high and the news price. But let's see if price fakes out and then pulls back into the range. So price is currently right here at the Asia high. You guys can see there's a double body setting up right here. This here could fake out. So if we see the fake out here, it'll probably pull back into the range down here. Just focus on the fake outs. Either look for two different scenarios to play out. Whenever price gets to a structure like this, like some sort of manipulative area, look for the fake out for price to pull back into the range. Or second scenario is price continues to climb, right? So look for the continuation or look for the fake out. Those are the two main scenarios to look for here. Otherwise, price will probably just consolidate for a bit, go sideways, and then eventually it's going to move, to the upside or to the downside. Yeah, juice of the ATR jumped like crazy. It's currently at 24, 25 right now. Maddie said needed above the sessions for buy. Also need a sell signal or a new buy signal for buys. Or needed below the Asia low for sells. Yeah, exactly. So we need price to be up here for buys. We need price to be down here for sells. I don't care which direction price goes. I'm fine with trading either direction. I just need price to be away from these red flags and in an area where manipulation is less likely to happen. All right, so this higher high is just going to keep getting pushed up higher. You can see from this higher high right here. It's probably just going to keep getting pushed up higher. Our clean chart here hasn't established a actual resistance point yet. Price looks like it might be trying to get towards the liquidity above. So the retest never happened down here for liquidity. Yeah, there's not much we can do here. You can see price just sitting in between the sessions. Again, just look for that fake out or look for the continuation. One of them is going to happen. It's just going to be a matter of time. Price will probably consolidate here for a bit, but eventually, the fake out is going to happen. So just watch to see how price reacts to this area here. It's a consolidation area. And price push up here, consolidate, push up here, consolidate. From this point here, price is either going to break above or it's going to break below. Or what might happen here is price might just go sideways until news at 7 o'clock. So again, at 7 o'clock, we have Michigan consumer sentiment. Still miles away. It's about 11 minutes. All right, so looks like the volatility here. Well, the volatility is still kind of normal. It's currently at 22 right now. It's dying down a little bit. It went from 25 to 23 to 22. We got about 10 minutes until news. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. I'm hoping that news happens within this middle area here, or like within this area, because I want all the red flags to be in one area. So once the news happens, I want price to push away from it. All needs to happen right here. So we'll have another pink line around this middle area and then push out here. So we look for some buys or push down here. So we can look for some sells. I like having all of the red flags in one area so that when price pushes away, that you don't have to worry about kind of getting faked out and stuff like that. So I'm actually fine with price staying down here until 7 o'clock, because if price pushes up here, we're going to have news price somewhere around this area. And then that's going to be another thing for us to look out for. All right, so it looks like we have the resistance established now. So the resistance is finally established up here. All right, now we have structure. All right, so just zooming in a little bit, you guys can see this is the actual range, like the full range for the day, or not for the day, but just for now. At this very moment, this is the full range. And this area is the smaller range or consolidation. So price is consolidating within this little area right here. This higher high has been established already, so that's fine. If a new higher high comes up, that's cool too. We'll just keep looking for the next level. So we're just marking up these levels here so that you can see where structure is sitting. All right. So we're getting some volatility here. I mean, I'd be careful for any entries from now until news. It's a little too close to well, this candle here is touching the session, so I wouldn't take this for anything. This could be setting up for BB3. This is also setting up where it's set up for a pivot scalp, but obviously you guys know the red flags right here. Not something I mess with. And this would be the actual BB3 entry, it looks like. So if anybody's looking for the BB3, I mean, I'll mark it up for you guys. I'm not going to take the trade, but this could be the actual BB3 entry, not the continuation, but the actual BB3. Because we had a double body rejection right here. We had a buy signal. If this closes as a green candle, this is going to be the BB3 entry. So not in the position. I'll mark it up for you guys. Yeah, the PRB could be setting up here as well on the next couple of candles if it retraces back down. All right, so this right here is the BB3 entry, guys, for anybody who's looking to take it. It's currently running. We had the double body rejection right here, buy signal, green candle follow it, and this right here is the breakout B3. The PRB is setting up, but it needs to retrace back down. So we have the rejection right here off this candle. We have a space consolidation candle right there. So in order for the PRB to come up, it's going to have to come down, retrace off the pivots, and push back up. But again, I wouldn't take any trades here because it is at a red flag, which is the sessions. Akil said, isn't the BB3 1515? I mean, it's up to like whoever is taking it. The ATR right now is super high, so I wouldn't take it for 1515. It was only 1515 because the ATR was super low back then, Akil. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. If your ATR was like at 1515, it would like, you know, like one movement in the opposite direction could like just spike you out. You have to base it off the ATR. So it looks like the PRB is still kind of, it's not there yet. It's setting up, but it's not there yet. See the BB3? Yeah, the BB3 didn't play out. I mean, I wouldn't have taken it to begin with because you guys can see how it's right at the sessions. It's just a big area where I wouldn't want to trade in. And I think the candle was like super big too, wasn't it? So the candle right here was almost 50 points, and the one after it was 30 points. I think the biggest factor here was the red flags. And that's kind of why I moved away from the BB3s, because the red flags are tricky. There's a lot of fake outs that happen off red flags. I mean, a continuation could be there, but the fake outs that typically happen after the setup has been set is usually pretty nasty. Like this right here. You guys can see this big red candle, this thing spiked down and then it shot right back up. So, I mean, if you wanted to take something like that, like say, for example, if you still wanted to take the BB3, but you were worried about the red flag, what I would do here personally is I'd wait for the retracement and then get in late. Let's see, Sadie said, was there a triple confluence? Yeah, there was. So there was this buy signal broken close past this higher high. So this would be a triple confluence. There's a broke structure. It was a buy signal. The trend here is bullish, so it falls under 3 different strategies. The only problem here is that it was at the sessions. So I wouldn't take it, but yeah, that is a triple confluence right there. This is typically a strategy that we would take if it came up like during normal conditions and there was no red flags. But yeah, this right here would be considered a triple confluence. The reason why we call it a triple confluence is because it lines up with 3 different strategies. This candle broke and closed past this higher high, which is a high-low scalp. This buy signal over here made it a pivot scalp. And with price being above the trend, with the trend meter being green as well, made it a momentum scalp. And then on top of that, we had divergence here as well. So there's just a lot of confluences there pointing towards a buy. And that one obviously hit TP. So we got news coming up in about 5 minutes. Obviously, I'm not going to be looking for any entries here. I would possibly have been looking for a momentum divergence. You can see how momentum here is starting to shift a little bit with the divergence indicator, but it's too close to news, so I'm not going to mess with it. The news is high impact, super, super high impact. So I wouldn't mess with anything here. For me personally, I would like price to kind of retrace down a little bit, provide news, like the news price down here, so that I don't have to worry about it later. So I want news to happen down here, so that price can just push away from it, and we could possibly look for some entries from there. So yeah, exactly. Drew said they're prepping for something. Yeah, the news event is supposed to push price around. I'm expecting news to be positive, so I'm looking for price to maybe come down a little bit and then shoot back up. The PRB looks like it could be setting up right here, guys. We currently have the so rejection right here, space consolidation candle, another rejection right here off the pivot. So if this candle here rejects off any of these pivots, this will be the PRB entry. I'm not taking the entry here, but I'll mark it up for you guys, for those of you who are still looking to take the PRB. So this candle would have to reject off, one of the pivots here. Look, it's not looking like it's going to. So maybe on this next one here. But you can see how price is kind of setting up for news. So it's coming down a little bit for news. And I think if the news is positive, it's going to climb right back up. Let's see, Angela's asking, hi, Shama, was price overextended from the previous high low or previous lower low? Was that a red flag for the BB3? There's no red flags for the BB3, Angela. I mean, for me personally, there is a red flag, but there's no red flags for the breakout strategies. Because if you have too many red flags, there's just not going to be any entries for the. I mean, there's a bunch of red flags here if you're just looking at red flags, but red flags don't apply to the BB3. So measuring it from this point right here, it was not overextended. In order for it to be overextended, we look for 150 points. It's only 72 right here, so it's fine where it was at. But there's a lot of other red flags to take into consideration, right? The sessions. This buy signal here was touching 2 sessions. So this is actually like an even bigger red flag because it was touching the New York high and it was also touching the Asia high. So, I mean, if you want to factor in red flags, there's a lot of red flags there, but overextension was not one of them. Yeah, Kill said best to wait for news. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for too. There's still no PRB entry. So the rejection never happened, if you guys can see over here. The rejection never rejected off any of these pivots. So the PRB is still pending right now. It's still setting up. But like I said with the news, I think news is going to be positive. So with it being positive, I'm expecting this manipulation to happen first and then a correction back up once news comes out. But again, it's just a matter of time. It's not like going to happen overnight. Well, it'll happen overnight, but not figure of speech. It's not going to happen like right now. Yeah, Keel. So I'm still recording the data for the BB3. I'll check it out later. I haven't recorded the past 2 entries because I think there has been entries for the past couple of days. But I'll record this one for sure. Yeah, because I want to know as well. I also want to know how the BB3 is going to be consistent long term. Because I think the BB3 is still a good strategy. There's probably just some factors that need to be factored in. It's just tricky because, the red flags are something that need to be taken into consideration, but it's hard because there's so many red flags. There's so many red flags and there's so many opportunities to be missed. All right, we got the news coming up right here, guys, in about 15 seconds. There's still no PRB entry. You guys can see there's no rejection off the pivots. It's got to be a rejection from the bottom side. All right, we got news candle, which is exactly on the New York high, which is perfect. So we got two red flags in one area. We don't have to worry about that. It's exactly what I wanted. All right, so let's check news. News was negative, actually. So news was kind of mixed. Well, it wasn't really that mixed. There was like low impact, which is positive. Michigan consumer sentiment was negative as well. Wasn't super bad. They were forecasting it to be 77.8. And it came out to 77.2. So it's worse than expected, but it's not like what I would consider a game changer. All right, so just be careful if you guys are looking for any interest. I'd wait for the market to stabilize a little bit, look for how the market's going to react to the news because the news was negative. So price pushes up, it might be manipulated to the upside, and then it might come right back down. With that said, we have a higher level here marked up. So we got another resistance point here. And it looks like this might be the range where price is going to sit for a bit. Possibly. So we got price structure right there. You guys can see this is the actual range now, like the range that's actually established. Price is pushing up pretty heavy right now. I'd be careful for that because news is negative for the most part. Yeah, this looks like it could be divergence, but I'm going to hold off for a little bit, at least for a few minutes for the market to kind of yeah, this would be a pivot scalp. If anybody's looking to take it, this would be a pivot scalp. The thing that I want to remind you is that news just came out right now at 7 o'clock. So I'm not going to take any entries here. I'm going to wait for the market to kind of stabilize a bit and react to the news. Because I mean, this could just be another fake out. So this here was a pivot scalp. It was also momentum divergence. You can see the divergence here is pretty wide. Again, it's just kind of, it's too much for me right now because of the news price, because the news was negative. So I'm looking to see how price reacts to the news. If anything, price here might just go back and forth for a bit. I mean, it might push up enough to hit CP, and it looks like it's going to right there. So let's see if it hits CP already. Almost. You guys can see how tricky this is, right? It's tricky because I mean, I think it's enough to hit CP. It's probably gonna push up. Yeah, it did. So push up to hit TP right there. Again, right here could be a breakout V3 continuation. There's a lot of confluences right here. Nice, Sadie caught it right there. This right here would be the breakout V3 continuation. So you got price breaking past the structure there. So what I would look for here for me personally is I would look for some momentum divergence. So I'm going to look for the retracement and I'll look for some momentum divergence after. But again, it's too early within the news. So I probably, for me personally, I'm going to wait until like the market has kind of like made its move based off the news. And then I'll start looking for some entries from there. But there's a couple entries that have come up here. We had the pivot scalp. We had a triple confluence again right there. This right here is a breakout V3 continuation. Looks like another TP right there as well. Nice. Yeah, exactly. Akil said he's going to wait at least 5 candles. Drew as well. He said just nervous because you can get wiped out with one retracement candle. Yeah, I agree. So it looks like a lot of you guys here are taking a bunch of these entries, which is great. So it looks like a good handful of you guys here grabbed a lot of these entries. There's a couple entries that came up. There was the breakout V3 continuation right there. And then there's also the pivot scalp, triple confluence right here. But I'm just going to be smart, guys. Today's Friday. You know, it's one of the trickier days to trade, Mondays and Fridays. And I'm just going to wait for another setup here. So it's 7:04 right now. What I'm looking for next is I'm looking for the retracement. So I want price to kind of retrace down a little bit. and then provide us opportunity for a momentum divergence. Hey Jay, what's up, man? You made it today. Casey said momentum candle just looked a little too big for him. Yeah, same here. I think this momentum candle was just a little too big. I would have been worried about the retracement, just like what Drew said. So we got the retracement happening right here. This is fine. You guys can see the momentum kind of shifting to the downside. So I'll be looking for some entries here as price decides to swing back up higher. We got another structure over here. It's not established yet, but here goes a retracement that we were kind of worried about. Yeah, Sadie said he only took both due to triple confluence, never seen them losing. Yeah, the triple confluence is probably one of the better strategies because it has so many confluences. And then on top of that, if you have the divergence, that's even like, an even bigger confluence. So yeah, no, I think triple confluence is probably one of the favorites that everybody likes to take here. So I don't blame you. It's a strategy that everybody loves to take. And it works well. So makes sense. All right, so we got the PRB over here setting up still. PRB has not set up. All right, so here's the retracement that we were all kind of scared about, right? The retracement is happening right here. Actually, there's no PRB, guys. So the PRB is done. Thanks, Hawk, for reminding me. PRB is pretty much done. This big candle right here is what we were scared of, right? Luckily, a lot of you guys got into these trades and hit your TP already, but this is what we were worried about. This big candle here that just came to wipe out all the buyers. Because we're still in a range, right? Like you guys gotta remember, we're still in a range here. This is a fake out that I was just reminding you guys about. So I said, look out for the fake out. Fake out happened right here. And look how this thing comes straight back into the range. On top of that, it's just a correction from the news. So you guys remember the news? Negative, right? So this is what we were worried about. And I'm glad that a lot of you guys got out before you got caught in this fake out here because the fake out was coming. It was just a matter of time until it did. All right, so now that we got the spiking back down further, I'll be looking for a possible momentum divergence. I don't have it yet, but I do feel like it's coming. So I'm okay with pricing pushing down a little further. Like right now, it's currently with the invalid momentum. I'm okay with price pushing down a little further because I want the momentum here to kind of stabilize a bit. You guys can see how it's pretty spread out down here. Kind of want it to flatline a bit. But I mean, if it swings back up, then that's fine too. Also, I'm still going to be okay with taking possible entry for a buy here if that becomes the case. But the retracement would have been nicer. So we're probably not going to get the divergence yet. I mean, price will probably just consolidate here for a little bit. The thing to look out for here is that if price does swing back up higher, it'll probably break past this higher high for a high-low scalp. So the momentum divergence can be in confluence with a high-low scalp, right? So I don't want it to break up just yet, but we'll see how this here closes. If this candle closes pretty big and it's above this high-low right here, then it'll probably be a high-low scalp with a divergence. I don't know if it'll close up there yet, though. We'll see. Okay, so if this candle closes above, we'll see how it closes, but it has to close above the line. It is not looking like it's going to, not on this specific candle, probably on the next one. Yeah, not yet. All right. So for this candle right here, if this candle closes above the high, this higher high right here, this will be a high-low scalp, and it'll also be in confluence with the divergence down here, as you guys can see below. The volatility here is kind of dying down a little bit, so I'm not sure if it's actually going to close out. You guys can see these candles here getting a lot smaller. Yeah, not yet. And the divergence over here is not a super clean one either. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Not yet. Yeah, so it's starting to flatline right there. It's starting to break above. So you can see how the divergence here is starting to break above now. Okay, so if this candle here closes as, like, we'll say a strong green candle, hopefully it closes above the high-low scalp. This here could be a possible high-low scalp with divergence. Again, it would have to close like pretty strong. Because you can see how these candles here close a little weak. Yeah, not my kind of candle there. But we got to watch it because, like, at the last second, this thing could close out. So if it pushes up and closes above the line here, then I would take it. But you guys can see it's not really too clear here how it's going to close. It's not looking like it though. Nope. All right, so this is kind of a tricky area now, guys, because you guys can see how the volatility is kind of died down a bit. And it's kind of just sitting above this area right here now. So this is actually another resistance point. We got price pushing up right here. So I'm going to see how this here closes. If it closes again, we got 30 seconds left on the candle. If it closes above the line, it's going to be a high-low scalp. But it's got to be like a strong candle. It can't be like this here where it keeps pulling back. So you got to wait until like maybe the last 10 seconds. But yeah, the volatility here is just not there. Yeah, not there. So here goes another one right here. There's just no power, guys. If this here doesn't close as a strong green candle, I'm just going to leave this alone. I'll look for the momentum divergence to kind of retrace down a little bit to like pull back and then swing back again for another momentum divergence. Because eventually, like one of the divergences is going to push price up, right? That's where the real power is going to come from. But right now, it's not really looking like it. Unless this candle again closes big, like if it closes and there's like a big, strong green candle up here, then I'll be okay with it because I know price is probably going to continue to follow. But if not, then I'm going to wait for it to retrace. And that looks like that's going to be the case here. Yeah, I'm going to leave it alone. Not going to mess with it. I'll wait for it to retrace a little bit. And then once we have that, the next divergence, that's probably going to be where the price is actually going to move. Because you guys can see there's no volatility. There's no power behind it. The last thing you want to do is get caught in a consolidating move, right? Because this thing's probably just going to consolidate here for a little bit. And the last thing I want to do is get stuck in this position for like 5-10 minutes. And then at that point, you don't even know where price is going. Yeah, it was crazy. The volatility just like flatlined right here. Candles moving pretty heavy and all of a sudden it just got super flat. Yeah, exactly. Nick said hashtag Friday. Typical Friday, right? Nothing crazy. All right, so depending on how this candle here closes, again, if this candle here closes as a pretty decently strong green candle, this could be a possible momentum divergence. So I'll watch it right here. I'm gonna get into it.
Order filled.
So I'm into it right there, guys. It didn't close as strong as I wanted to, but it kind of looked decent from where it was. So I'm gonna have to watch it here again because the volatility here did not pick up. I was looking at the divergence down here. I saw it cross over again. So this is what I was looking for. It just wasn't the push that I was expecting, but the divergence is the continuation right there. So again, I just got to watch it. This here's a high-low scalp. I mean, the better high-low scalp probably would have been the higher level up here. Well, let's see if it bounces off that pivot. Because the divergence is confirming. It's showing that there is momentum there. It just doesn't have the power behind it to push it up. We just need people to pretty much to follow it. So it keeps testing the pivots right here. Now the divergence is shifting back down for the retracement that we were just talking about. And we'll see here where it goes. Yeah, this thing might stop me out. Still in it. That bounce off that blue pivot. And I got stopped out. That was a FOMO move, guys. I probably should have held off on that, but it's all good. So I got stopped out on there. There's my first loss for this week, unfortunately. And yeah, FOMO move right there. I really thought this thing was going to push up though. So looking at this right here, let me just replay it. You guys can see how the divergence here was shifting up. This is a move that I was looking for. I was looking for it to retrace, push up, retrace, push up again right here. And then it just never had that power behind it. So it's all good. Took my first loss in about, what was it, 17 trades now? So we were on a pretty good streak. 17 wins, 1 loss. It just sucks because this could have been easily avoided if I would have just waited a little bit longer. But it's all good. Keep that loss, move on to the next one. So I'm done trading for the day, guys. As you guys know, my trading plan is if I lose a trade for the day, I'm done. Because that prevents me from over trading and revenge trading. But we'll continue looking for any other opportunities here if you guys are still looking to trade. It's currently 7:16 right now, so we still have a lot of time until about 7:40. And we'll continue looking. So there's a double body rejection right here with a pending sell signal. And this could be a possible, here, let me mark this up real quick as my loss. So we have this in the data. Take this off. All right. I was looking for, I need to copy one of these losses, but we haven't had a loss in so long. Okay, there we go. So we got a loss right here. That was for a high-low scalp. There goes a loss right there. Yeah, the sell momentum still hasn't come up yet. So as you guys can see, the sell momentum is going to confirm the retracement. And we haven't had this yet. It's been pending for about the past 5 candles or so. There we go. We got the sell signal there. So now there could be possibility for the retracement up. Let's see. CJ said all the sellers got knocked out. People are waiting for lunch. Need that red momentum to come up. Yeah. So the red momentum is there. Now you could possibly look for the retracement. If not, if price shifts to the downside, then you could possibly look for some sells. But what I'm thinking here is that I don't think price is really going to come down that heavy. It'll probably retrace off or bounce off one of these pivots and then come back up from there. Or I don't know, maybe we could shift. I just don't think there's enough time between now, 7:18 up until 7:40. I don't think there's really a lot of time for the trend to shift here. So we got this right here. So the thing that I think here is kind of unusual is that the ATR is a lot higher up here. The ATR is a little lower here, but it's still moving. Like it's moving directional. So we had high ATR up here, but then there was no movement. And then now we have price coming down from this point here, but the ATR is a lot lower. So let me see how these candles are moving about like 10 points. I mean, they're about the same, just kind of evening out as the ATR drops down lower. So it's currently at 20 ATR. Earlier we had 25 ATR, 26, went down to 23, 22. Now it's at 20. So the market is definitely slowing down a little bit. There's a couple bigger candles here, but for the most part, these are starting to balance out with lower candle size. There's no rejection off the pivot here yet. I mean, or this might be the climb up. So there's a double body that's starting to set up right here. And this could be the reversal pattern to the upside. Here's a structure that I drew earlier. You know, I'm looking back at the structure here. I really shouldn't have taken that buy there because I'm looking at the buy right now and it lines up exactly with what we were talking about earlier. I said to look out for the fake out and I actually got caught in the fake out. I literally went against my analysis here. So I've been telling you guys, like, watch for price break past structure and then look how market reacts to it. And it did exactly that. So this is where I took my loss right there for the high-low scalp. Price broke above it. It faked out and came right back into the range. So go figure. My own analysis played against me. This right here, same thing. So price fakes out again. So look for the fake outs. The fake out happened right here. And I kind of regret not looking at this chart here because if I saw this fake out right here, I would have noticed that, okay, this is probably going to play out too. So fake out right there, fake out right there. You can look for another fake out down here possibly. And a pull back into the range. It's currently in the range right now. Tony's asking, why is the ATR important? The ATR is important because it tells you how market's moving at the moment. I mean, if you don't understand ATR, you're not really understanding like where the volatility is. Because the ATR shows you the average true range, right? It shows you the average true range of the previous 14 candles. So obviously if the ATR is low, it means there's no movement. If the ATR is high, that means there's too much movement. You have to find a sweet spot where the ATR should be sitting. So the ATR should be sitting above 15 points. Right now it's currently at 20. So between 15 and 20 is okay. If you go above, like if it goes past 25, 30, then at that point, volatility is too high. You probably shouldn't be trading because it's easy for you to get pulled out, you know, with like a retracement or so. And then if it's too low, you don't really want to be in the market because market's just consolidating. You'll probably be holding on to that position for a long time. And then if you hold on to it for too long, you'll get caught in a possible breakout, which could be in your direction or against you. So you're kind of just gambling at that point. If you're trading when the ATR is too low, and then you're also gambling if you're trading when the ATR is too high. There was another divergence here. So this is the divergence that I should have waited for. It's all going to happen. But yeah, this is the divergence that I should have waited for. This here lined up pretty nice. Right, there's a V1 variation, and then the divergence here was a good one because it actually had some sort of confluence behind it. So we had the V1 reversal pattern, the divergence that happened right here, and then this would have pushed up to you know, it's TP, of course. And there's another pivot scalp right here as well. For anybody who's looking to get in. But again, it's just like in a tricky area. So the buy signal never closed there. There's no pivot scalp. There's another pending pivot, another pending momentum here. Let's see, Jonathan said he's out for the day. Have a great weekend, everyone. Definitely, Jonathan. We'll see you back here on Monday. Let's see. So we got some team profits over here. We have Andreas with a total profit of 1,320 for the day. Nice work, Andreas. We got Maddie over here with a total profit of 433. Yeah, Nikki here took the loss with me as well. It's all good. And we have more profits over here from Maddie. Total profit of 834. Nice work, Maddie. Let's see. So the signal here is still pending. All right, closed right there. So the pivot scalp is currently running right now. It's not a pivot scalp I would personally take because there's no other confluences here for me to run with. I would take it if there was a divergence, but again, right there, another pivot scalp. This price kind of pushes through. CJ's asking, wouldn't that be a CV entry where divergence happen as well? Where at, CJ? Trying to see. Because I don't see any CV entries here. In order for it to be a CV entry, the candle following it would have to be smaller. So this right here would have to be a big red candle, like a bigger body. And this one over here would have to be smaller than it. And it's opposite right here. This one's actually bigger than it, so it wouldn't be a CV entry. 721. Um, hmm. I don't see any high lows right here, CJ. 721. But it's got to be after it's after a high low. You have to have a big candle with a low or a high, and then the candle following it would have to be a smaller candle, right? Because I don't see any CVs here, or I don't even see a high low here at all. Like this would be a CV entry right here. See how this candle is a low with a big red candle? It's followed by a green candle that's smaller. That's a CV entry. But over here at 721, I don't see anything over here. I mean, there's not even a high low to begin with, so there's like no entry there at all. And they're all green candles too. They'd have to be opposite. So yeah, I don't see anything here, CJ. Because like the whole strategy, this is the strategy right here for the CB. The strategy, you're just looking for the reversal. So you're looking for the big red candle, which is a low, and you got a small candle after it. But looking over here at the 721, I don't see anything there. Like all the candles here are green, so there's not even a red or green candle. And there's no low, and there's no. I think you might just have the strategy confused because I don't see anything here. Like there's nothing here that lines up with it. The CB is a variation, so it's basically it's like a V1, but it's just kind of set up differently. All right, so we got the candles here. They're still ranging within that same range, guys. So we got this over here. Same thing. Price is still ranging within this whole area. This is the actual range now. So this is the current range. And I don't think price is really going to break out of it. So this is what I was referring to earlier. I don't think price is going to shift to a sell because the pivots here are kind of just shifted. And then also this down here is probably not going to happen. If it comes down this low, it's going to meet all these red flags, which is not exactly the area you want to be stuck in or be trading in at all. Let me take these lines off over here because they're kind of pointless. They're not supposed to be there. See, question from Sadie's asking if any NPS hit today. Not that I know of. I didn't see any over here that hit. So yeah, nothing on my end. See what else we got here. Go either way. All right, all right, guys. So let's see if there's anything else here for us to. Well, I don't really see anything. So as price continues to go sideways here, I'm gonna go and update our. I'm gonna go and update our spreadsheet for our official trades. So we got some more profits here from Delicia. She locked in 1,325 for the day. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 accounts. So well over 10,000 for the day. Nice work, Delicia. And here's a loss from today. Let me just add this to here. 714. I didn't add the one from yesterday. 714 was for a buy, loss, -25, high low scalp. Promo entry. I'll add this one from the day before, 25th at 6:49. $6.49 was first sell, I believe, when, and this entry was for a triple confluence. All right, so there goes that streak. I mean, the streak was great. It was about time we got into something. It was about time I made a mistake, right? Can't be perfect all the time. But yeah, there's no other entries happening right here, guys. Look for the possible fake out. Price is currently pulling below this resistance level right here. So what I would look for is look for the possible fake out and pull back into the range. Otherwise, look for the continuation to the downside. But yeah, here are our results for this week so far, guys. So we had one win on Monday, win on Tuesday, win on Thursday, win on. So we had one win pretty much every day. One win on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then one loss on Friday. We went on a, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 wins, one loss from April 10th up until the 26th. This month is almost over. So let me check the calendar real quick. And there goes a fake out that I was just referring to, guys. So the fake out right there is happening, and then it's pulling back into the range. So there's a double body rejection right there. And this will probably push back up into the range. So what you want to look for here, look for the momentum divergence. You can take a V1 variation if you really want to here, because there is a V1 variation that is setting up. There's also a CB entry right here. And this is probably going to pull back into the range right there, like it did. So this is a V1 variation that's currently running in profit. And this here is probably going to set up for, well, if I was to take something here, I would look for the divergence. So there goes the V1 variation right there for full TP. The buy signal after it could be setting up for a possible divergence and pivot scalp. So this here would have to close as a strong green candle for it to push up even further from where it's currently at. So it looks good right here. So there, right there is the pivot scalp. It's running up for another one. All right, so it's currently pushing up right here. Let me go back to the results from earlier. Let's see where this is at. So it's currently within the range right here. It's not really looking too smooth right now. But it's like right in between the range right now. So this can, I mean, this can probably still push through. This is a pivot scalp. The divergence actually happened like on this previous candle right here. So the better entry probably would have happened at this point once this V1 variation had closed out. But I mean, this can still push through. It still has a lot of room between the range. So looking at this right here, this still has a lot of opportunity to push up to that resistance point if it wants to go back and retest the upper level right there. As you say, he said he got it. He's done for the day. Want to win and he runs. Yeah, no, definitely. Let's see. Nikki said she's done for the day. Have a great weekend, everyone. Definitely, Nikki. We'll see you back here on Monday. Looks like Akil got into this entry right here with a pivot scalp. I think the candles are just a little too big. Like that pivots, that momentum signal is just a little big. I mean, this will probably push up eventually. It's probably just going to take some time for it to push up. But it looks like it's pushing up there now. It's just that when a price trades within the range like this is where I typically don't like to, like I wouldn't want to get into something that's in the middle. The better entry would have happened right here at the V1 where you got the fake out and then the divergence that happened right here. So these two areas would have been okay because you have enough gap here for price to kind of like, push up and then sit within this middle area. Not to say that it's not going to push up. I think it'll still push up, but I think you take a little more risk when you trade in between the range versus like at the ends of it. Yeah, exactly. Drew said on big candles like that, he waits for retracement for entry. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get in for a late entry, you probably can get in now, or you can just put your like buy stop right there and then catch it. So if it does swing back up or shoot up from here, it'll it'll go up and hit your TP from that point. But it's, yeah, again, this is just a tricky area right now because it's in between the range, between this middle point. And I think on top of that, the volatility is just super low. I think that's the worst part. If there was actual volatility here and price is actually pushing, then, this thing would just climb up and shoot straight up, right? But the problem with this here is that there's just no volatility. The volatility is too low right now. So it's just going to keep sitting within this range in the middle. And this is why I typically don't like to mess with any trades as it gets closer to 740. So 740 is going to hit right here. And this is where the volatility pretty much gets pretty flat. Did this thing hit stop loss? Yeah. No, it's still running actually. Oh, now it did. Yeah. So like I said earlier, the divergence would have made more sense to enter the divergence down here. So the V1, like I said earlier, would have been good. And then the divergence on the following candle right here would have been good. So that's pretty much the market for today. So unfortunately, guys, I took one loss for the day. That's pretty much it. Took one loss for the day. And that's my cue. So it's 740 right now. This week, let's see. So for the week so far, we had 4 wins, 1 loss. Let's see, 10, 25. Total profit for this week was about, I guess I can just do the math here. And that's 25 minus, or 40 minus 25. 15 points for this week. So not a lot because like that loss from today kind of ate into like literally all my profits for the most part. But it's all right. So we'll bounce back from this next week. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat now. I don't think there's any reason to like enter any trades now because you can see how price is just sitting within this range. It's also hitting 740 right now. So the volatility is getting very, very low. But other than that, that's pretty much it for the day. So if there's any questions, guys, reach out. Otherwise, I think this is it. Let's see if there's any more profits here. Nothing else for the day. Man, what a way to close out the week, right? But it's all good. All right, guys. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we'll close out this week on this note, and then we'll come back next week fresh and kick right back into full gear. So, all right, guys, if there's any questions, reach out. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys back here on Monday for market open.